Hey there, this is Amy with Mommy Medicine, and I am really excited today to introduce my friend Leah. She is my hiking buddy and workout buddy. So we're healthy together, right, Leah?
Yes, we try to be.
Yes, and we are today going to talk about just some things related to handling life during this crisis. We'll start with that and then maybe get into a couple other topics. But let's start with just how are you managing, Leah, with three children during this crisis, keeping a kind of routine and a sanity during this time? Tell us maybe a little bit too about how old your kids are and a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have three children, age 8, 10, and 13. And it's definitely been an adjustment during this time. The first couple weeks, first week it was like, hooray, it's longer spring break vacation. And then the week after that, it was like, oh, we have to do school from home. And then once it turned into, oh, there's no school the rest of the year, it turned to a kind of a disheartening mode. So it's definitely been like an adjustment of life. And we initially, had to create some structure and schedule and we're going to be up and working on our schooling at this time. And then kind of as everyone got into the groove, we're able to relax a little bit on the time frame of it. Like, okay, everyone knows their responsibilities of what they need to get done. As long as you get that done by a certain time or before you have your free time, then, we can kind of all have that little bit more of give and take in our life and our schedule. Yeah, so I think once we just kind of establish the schedule and sort of set those clear expectations of what needed to be accomplished before we could have our free time or our screen time or our chat with our friends online time, then we've just been able to kind of relax the schedule a little bit. Everyone kind of understands the expectations of what they need to do. And so we don't have to be like, okay, everybody start at 8 o'clock. We're just, okay, as long as you get your stuff all wrapped up, by lunchtime, you're fine. And I think that's worked well for us.
So tell me what that looks like practically. So maybe give me an example with one of your kids of getting their things done before they can do theirs. What does that mean for you guys?
So that would be like when they wake up, if they choose to start their schoolwork right away, that's kind of their option. I'm fine if they want to have have a little downtime and have breakfast and then get started. So each one of the kids is kind of on their own different thing. My daughter, for instance, kind of wants to get up and get going and get things done, on the earlier side, whereas my teenager wants to kind of sleep in until I go and wake him up and start his day. So it looks different depending on the kid, but usually my expectation, everyone get rolling by 9 o'clock and get your schoolwork done. And I think for the most part, they're able to accomplish that by lunch or early afternoon.
Okay, so tell me, what if they don't? Like, what would a scenario look like if one of your kids doesn't get their stuff done? What would happen?
Basically, then they're not allowed to have their screen time or their phones for like FaceTime or messaging their friends and cousins and whatnot. So I think each of them have a different currency of what's really important to them, and sort of like withholding that, like they know they're not allowed to do those things until all the responsibilities are taken care of.
Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. So tell me a little bit more about that currency, because that sounds very very good. I want to know more about that. What currency works for some of your kids? What works for one that might not work for another? I'm curious.
So for my boys, they're definitely very video game driven.
Right.
So that is like no video game time until everything is done. My daughter could care less about video games, but she wants to maybe message with her friends or sit down and do art projects or, you know, something more creative along those lines. So for her, you know, we're not going to start any of those activities, or no, you can't use your phone until your stuff is done. For the boys, zero screen time until it's done. So it's just kind of figuring out what their priorities are, and then they're motivated to get their things done earlier because they want to get to what's important to them.
Right, right. Okay, that's great. No, I know my kids are very similar, and yeah, they're not big video game people, but they do love their messaging. I know one of my daughters messages your daughter, so that's kind of fun
Mhm.
for her. And FaceTime for my 13-year-old is just everything to her. So being
Mhm.
able to have that time, and then of course watching shows later on during the day is fun for them. So okay, that makes sense. Thank you. That's really good. Um, so I think we'll wrap up that topic. Thank you so much for those insights into kind of keeping sanity during this time, and we will pull you back later for some more questions.
Okay.